Welcome, and thanks for joining me on the Ultimate 180 podcast. If you have ever felt exhausted, overwhelmed, or even trapped in your own life and wish you were able to have a complete life makeover, then you are in the perfect place to learn how to pull an ultimate 180 and change your life beyond all expectations. I am your host, Christina Walker, and today we'll be facing the fear factor together. I'm not just talking about any like our normal fears that come up with change, because there are a lot of them. But there is one specific type of fear that lurks in the shadows. And this hidden fear is quite stealthy. So I'm going to expose it, and I'm going to walk you through how to spot it and confront it head on. So let's get started as we navigate change together, 1 degree at a time. Let's do this. Now, fear is a very interesting beast. It comes in so many shapes and sizes, and it really is amazingly specific to each and every individual. And this fear that I'm talking about is one that I discovered quite shockingly when I had my own ultimate break. So what really sparked my ultimate 180, and I call this fear the fear of the undoing. I feel like there should be like Halloween music or something, like fear, like coming October 31st, fear of the undoing. But anyways, maybe someday. Anyways, this fear is completely different than any fear that I had realized. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, this break, because it'll all make sense. One lovely Saturday morning, I was actually going into a weekend that this Sunday in particular was going to be like the perfect day. Right? I had all these things lined up and it was going to be super fun. But in order to get to that day, there was a ton of stuff I had to get done on Saturday, which is fine. I had like my list of things I had to get done so that I would super enjoy Sunday, so that I wasn't thinking about all the things I didn't get done. Well, that morning I woke up exhausted. Like I was already depleted. And I woke up and I'm like, oh God, I got to get all this stuff done. And I know I got to get done or I'm not going to enjoy tomorrow. So I start, right? I do the breakfast, start the laundry, I'm doing all these things. And that day, my husband, he didn't really have anything to do in particular. So I walk into the bedroom and my husband is taking off the sheets. Really helpful, right? Except in my head, I'm like, oh crap. I'm like, I wasn't planning on doing the sheets today. I was going to do this different day because I have so much laundry and other things to do that I just didn't really want to do it that day, but too late, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. Doing my things. Now I walk into the laundry room. There's my husband again. And he never walks in the laundry room. And he's doing stuff like he's, putting things up on hangers or whatever. And I'm like, wait, what are you doing? I'm like, that doesn't go on that particular hanger. This one goes outside, inside out. This one I got to put on a rack. And now it's taking more of my time because I'm trying to help him learn what to do. And this is a day I got to get stuff done quickly. I'm like, okay, thank you. Thank you for your help. And I'm doing laundry. I walk out, I go into the kitchen. And now my husband is by the coffee maker. Now I have this really cool coffee maker. It's like an appliance. I mean, it does everything. It makes coffee, espresso, lattes, da, 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 da. Anyways, it also tells you when it's ready to be cleaned. Now, that morning it had said, clean me, but you don't have to clean it right away. It gives you, I don't know, there's probably like 15 more cups of coffee before it stops you and says, no, I'm sorry, I'm not working anymore till you clean me. But it's very specific. So it tells you when it's ready to be cleaned. And then when you say, okay, I'm ready to clean you, it tells you what to do. And it's a whole process, but kind of have to know what to do. And it takes about 20 minutes. 20 minutes of time I don't have that day, which is why I didn't hit clean the machine. So I walk up, my husband's doing stuff with the machine. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's never cleaned the machine before. He's like, well, I thought I'd clean the machine. I said, do you know how to clean the machine? Well, no. I said, did you hit the clean machine button? And he's like, well, no. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, you have to clean the machine, hit the clean the machine button, and then you have to do this and you have to do that. And he's like, no, it's okay. I won't do that right now. I know you got a lot of stuff to do. And I'm like, but you could tell he really wants to clean this machine. I'm like, well, you can clean that thing you have in your hand, but whatever. For whatever reason, this pushed me off the cliff. And I stopped and I said, okay, I need to step away from the situation right now. I'll be back. And I kind of calmly walked into the bedroom, closed the doors, saw my sheetless bed, grabbed a pillow, and I literally started screaming into this pillow. And I am like beyond, beyond frustrated. And I'm just screaming into this pillow. And I'm like, whatever. And I'm thinking to myself at the very same time, I'm like two people. And I'm like, what the hell is your problem? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, oh my God, your husband is being like the nicest person in the world. He's trying really hard to do all these things to help you. And all it's doing is frustrating you. And I'm like, I know, what's my problem? Right. And it was just, I just had a break in life. I mean, you just don't know when they're coming on. And like, I melted down. And when I finally calmed down, I mean, it took me a long time to calm down because it sounds so dumb. And it really wasn't over the coffee maker or anything that he was doing that day. It had nothing to do with him at all. What it had to do with was the fact that I just really wasn't enjoying my day-to-day life. Now, I've got a great life. I have a wonderful life. I'm so grateful for my life. But it hit me in that moment. I mean, it probably hit me a lot more than just in that moment, but that day in particular, it all came to a head. And I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do life like this anymore. My everyday life is not the way that I want it, and I need to change it. And that's when it hit me why I didn't change it, because there was this fear, the fear of the undoing. And what that means is if I now wanted to make a 180 change, right? I would have to confront all the decisions that I've made up to that point and make a change, right? Like if I want to change in life, that means I have to go back. Like I have made so many decisions and actions in my life to get me to this point, and it's a good life. But then to say I want a different life, that would mean that I would have to make all sorts of, I would have to go back to every decision I made and like undo it. That's how it feels. It feels so heavy that I would have to change lots of little things in my life because I have commitments. I have committed my time, my energy, my money, commitments to people, right? All of these things have added up to my current life. And this fear of the undoing is what stops us from really making that ultimate 180, from making huge life changes, because that's a lot of little stuff. And of course, the longer you've been doing something, or the more money and the more time, whatever it is that you've been doing something, it feels like there's going to be a lot of this undoing. And that feels scary and hard and overwhelming. And man, so okay, what do we do? Right? That is huge. I mean, think about the person that has committed to a career, like let's say a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, right? Some careers, very specific career that they have had to put themselves through school. They have given a lot of money to a lot of education, right? They spent a lot of time on it. They've probably skipped things in life, right? Missed out on things, possibly missed out on relationships or other things in life because they've committed, right, to this dream that they had. And then one day they wake up and they're like, oh my God, I don't even like this career. I don't like this job. I don't like the industry. There's something about it that I really don't like. And now what? And we feel like we can't undo that. Like we feel like we made this commitment to the time, the money, that it just is too much to undo. So we get through those breaking points, right? And we keep moving on. And we miss the opportunity to actually figure out what to do instead of undoing everything, because you don't actually have to undo everything. In fact, The first step is really taking a moment to yourself and saying, you know what? I'm going to accept the fact that I'm grateful for all these things, right? That led me here, because I wouldn't know what I know now had I not done all of this, right? The doctor would never have known what it would feel like to be a doctor. And had they not made that decision 30 years ago, they wouldn't know to say, I don't really like this industry, right? They would have had this dream sitting in them forever. I should have become a doctor. I should have. Well, they didn't. So congratulate yourself. You stepped forward in something in life, whether it's a relationship, a job, a place that you live, whatever it is, whatever this heavy feeling is that you want to make a change, or maybe it's all of it, who knows? And say, wow, I'm so grateful that I made that decision, because I would never have this perspective right now if I hadn't have done that. I just wouldn't, I wouldn't even know. And then accept that it's okay. It's okay to want something different. It's okay to want to move forward. It's okay to want something completely different. It's absolutely okay. I met this preschool teacher once when my kid was in preschool. Wasn't my kid's teacher, but oddly, one day this teacher admits she doesn't even like working with kids. I thought, well, what the hell? Why are you even doing this? Right. And it's for this reason. She went to school. She made this commitment. She went down this road. And now she has all these kids that love her and this school that she committed to. And now she doesn't really have another career path. So she was feeling stuck. The great news is, congratulations, she pulled the 180. She ended up leaving and she has this whole different life. In fact, I watched her change careers a couple of times in between, because she was willing to try something different. And it was awesome. And now she's finally happy. And she's not around kids. In fact, she never even wanted to have her own kids. Isn't that funny? And it's funny because we can look at ourselves and go, oh my God, that's me. Or, I've done that, or I'm doing that. We it's crazy how many of us do it. And that's the thing, is to realize, wow, there are so many people that are in the same exact situation as we are. We have done this to ourselves, and it's okay, because we wouldn't have known what it was like to be in the spot had we not done it. So accept it. Then two, we've got to trust ourselves that it's going to be okay, and that we do not have to do this alone. So look around you for the people that you trust in life and start having the conversation of what you do want. So after this whole break I had, I went to find my husband. He was no longer in the house because he was probably like, oh my God, get me out of here. Right. So he's out in the backyard enjoying some music. Thank goodness. And I said to him, I said, hey, I just want to apologize. And I also want to let you know that this has nothing to do with you. And I am so grateful for everything that you were trying to do today. And I just want to let you know what's going on with me. And then I had to trust, because we actually have a great relationship. I said, I have to trust him in the fact that he can hear this from me. And I told him exactly that. I'm like, there's something missing in my life. And I started doing all of these things for everybody out of love. I wanted everybody to come in the house at the end of the day, and I wanted them to feel like I love them completely. So in my head, that means having a clean, serene house with, healthy food and clean laundry and, picked up, and it's not like I don't have my own job. I have my own business, right? But for some reason, I took on this responsibility myself to do this out of love. And I wanted to tell him that I was going to make some changes, because obviously I didn't do him a good service I didn't even teach him how to do the coffee maker, right? Which is pretty simple. And so it's kind of crazy to think about. But in doing in moving forward, that I wasn't going to put his laundry away anymore for him. And I might not do the dishes anymore. And there might be things I'm not going to do anymore. And I wanted him to know it's not because I don't love him as much. I wanted him to know that I still love you that much. I just need to do these things differently because of me. So I'm going to ask for your help more often. And it's not like my family didn't want to help. I just never asked them for help. But it's strange the things that we take on in this world. But I was just honest with him, and I trusted myself and I trusted him with the information of that. Hey, things are going to change, but I love you. This has nothing to do with that. These little things that I thought meant love, right? Like, I need help. I need to change. So you need to find the people in your life, even if it really is just yourself, is who can you trust? And you've got to trust yourself that you can move through this. And you have to trust me that you don't have to undo everything. It's not this, let's say you built up this career for 30 years. It's not going to take you 30 more years to do something different. That's the other thing that gets stuck in our head. It's like, well, it took me 30 years to get here. It's going to take me 30 years to get somewhere else. Stick with me. That's not how it works. It doesn't have to work like that. I mean, you can make it work like that, but it doesn't have to work like that. And you don't have to, quote, undo all of the stuff that you did to make it to the point that you have now. The third thing is we're going to pause. We are not going to leap into something new. Now, when we leap into something new, that's what I'm talking about when people have, what can I think of the name of it? A midlife crisis, right? You see people leap into things. They do a 180, but it's usually not very good, right? They're just leaping to leap. They're leaping into a new relationship. They're leaping out of their job. They're just leaping in life. They buy a car they can't afford, or something goes completely haywire. And we think, what is going on with that person? It's because they got to that break and they weren't really sure what to do with it. And so for some people, because the thought of that fear of that undoing is so strong that they're like, I'm not doing that. I am not going to undo. I'm going to leap. And that's not usually the best solution. Let's not leap. Let's pause. And we're going to take this 1 degree at a time. And number 4 is, what's the first degree? What do we do? And this might sound really weird, but this is how I got through my 180 to the other side. Is we need to add something, anything completely different to our life, something tiny, something small that fills us up with fun, joy, creativity, something. Because what happens is when we allow ourselves to do something completely different, or maybe it's something old that we used to do that we bring back on, that's something we used to love to do in life, and we bring it back. When we have that experience in our brains that we are enjoying something, it literally opens our mind, expands our energy, and we can now hear of different opportunities that can come our way. We've like, think about a spotlight, right? You got this little spotlight, and all of a sudden you're shining your light bigger in life. And all of a sudden you're seeing all these different things, right? And I'm not saying to create a business out of your hobby. I'll have to have a whole episode on that. It's not always a good idea. And sometimes it's a great idea. It's not always a good idea. I'm not saying that at all. I'm talking about taking one tiny baby step towards something that you enjoy. So for me, here's a couple of examples. I grew up as a kid being very creative. And so I brought back crocheting. And I wanted to bring back sewing, but that's a big undertaking because I hadn't sewn for 20, 30 years. So I joined a sewing group online, right? Something tiny, right? Something I could commit to. It was like every other Saturday, I could tune in really whenever I wanted, but every other Saturday there was an event and I would go in and I would watch her and learn her techniques. And it just kind of got my mind going. And then for me, crocheting is just, it was also had the physical aspect of it where I was being creative and creating something new. That was exciting to me. And so for every person, it's going to be different. Maybe it's going down and it's maybe you love to golf. I say that for my husband. He loves to golf. And so I said, well, why don't you then go down and start hitting balls regularly? Because it's something that he just hadn't done. And sadly, great. We live in a place with a lot of golf, but sadly during the pandemic, you couldn't just do that anymore. It was very weird. And so it was very restrictive. And he hadn't even remembered that he liked to do that and that he could add that back onto his day. And so I'm talking about very little things. Start exploring, and maybe you have no clue what that is. Turn on a comedy, ask a friend to lunch, do something that you might not have done in a while. Ask an old friend to lunch. Go by yourself and go get a coffee and just sit and people watch. But break your current daily life somehow and do something different. Now, you don't have to do something different every single day. But what I'm saying is just start to lean into that, because again, your little spotlight on what's going on in the world and your life that you're struggling with, you're suddenly going to be able to expand that because you'll start to see other things in life, and it's going to lead you down a road that's going to get you to that 180 quicker, a road that you can't see right now. Because if you sit and try and think about it, like, how am I going to change my life? How am I going to 180 my life? I promise you, you don't know what that is yet. You don't even have a clue, because that 180 that's bigger than anything that you could possibly imagine, your brain can't imagine it right now. So stop trying so hard. Don't even try and imagine that perfect scenario. Think of something better, think of something fun, and open yourself up to going in that direction. So again, fear of undoing, right? It is hidden. Most of us don't even know it exists. I didn't know it existed until it happened. If the fear of undoing is gripping, it's why we don't create change. So real quick, we're going to do what? We're going to learn to accept it in the way it is, that it's okay. It's totally okay. If you got here and you've had the experiences to know that you might not like something, fantastic. Now you can check that box off, and we're going to work towards something else. We're going to trust ourselves, and hopefully you have other people in your life that you can trust as well to help you through this. It's going to go much quicker, but you've got to trust yourself that it's okay. 3, we're going to take a pause. We're not going to leap. Leaping, it's no good. And then 4, we're going to add something different, something enjoyable, something fun, something that fills you up, something little. And then you can build on that and add when you're ready, because we don't want to leap. We want to take this 1 degree at a time. So I really want to thank you so much for joining me today. And if you like any more information on how to incorporate any of the tips that I give you into your ultimate 180, just hop on my website and join my VIP list at ultimate180.com. You can find all my podcasts there. You can also find my podcasts on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your shows.